I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know. I love these classic throwback songs. Anyways, welcome to another vlog. We're playing some 1-3 and we're going in. Tuesday afternoon. There's a lot of tables going on right now. I think I saw on Poker Atlas like almost 20 tables on a Tuesday afternoon. It's only 4 o'clock. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna check out the action, and I'm gonna stop talking now and we'll get in some hands real soon. So let's see how this session goes. Let's try to run things up in 20.
So 30 minutes into this session right now, we hop in and we are on our third freaking table. A bunch of you guys ask me all the time and I preach this a ton. If you're not on a good table, you better find a good table. Here at Encore, especially Boston Harbor Encore, there's like 30 tables running usually at the peak hours. So if there's 30 tables to choose from and you're on a mediocre one or a bad one, you gotta switch out of that immediately if you're there to make as much money as possible. Or if you wanna have a better time overall, switch to a better table because there's 30 and you have a ton to choose from. So here, I've switched twice already in the first 30 minutes and we are on this table here, and let's get into some of the hands. The first hand, we have ace-3 of clubs in the middle position here, and we're sitting about 350 in our stack. I raised things up to $18 over 3 limpers because we're on a good table. 3 limpers, I raised to 18, and only 1 recreational player makes the call. So we are off to a flop. Flop comes ace-10 king rainbow, and here with top pair in position, just going to fire a little bit when he checks to me. Just bet $15, and he decides to call the $15 after thinking it over for a little bit. Turn comes another king, so second pair is now paired, and that's not great. Also adds the backdoor flush draw as well, and he actually leads out for $50. And here with top pair, no kicker, there's no way that we can be good here, so we just lay it down, make the easy fold with top pair, and we're moving on. Next hand, we have pocket queens in the small blind. There are 3 limpers to me here out of position, the worst position, raising it up on the bigger side to $21, and only an active big stack makes the call, who covers me. So we love to see that. Premium hand, we got it heads up against the big stack. Let's go to a flop. Flop comes ace, queen, 7 rainbow, and here going to lead out with middle set. I bet $20, and he makes the call pretty quickly. So we're off to a turn. Turn is a 6, which brings the full rainbow out there, and when he calls quickly on the flop, I'm just hoping as a hand that we can get 3 streets of value from. So here going to bet once again. I bet $50, and he snap folds. So don't get any more value with our middle set, and you know, always nice to see a set out there though. This next hand is quite a doozy, so we're going to go over it. We have 3-5 of clubs. That's right, 3-5 of clubs in the cutoff, and there's an under the gun straddle. It folds all the way to me, and here in position, mixing things up here, I go ahead and open it up to $20. We get 2 callers as the big blind and straddle make the call. The straddler is literally playing 100% of hands, so we're going to see what happens. Flop comes 4, 5, 7, 2 hearts, and a club out there. So middle pair and a bad gutter ball. The big blind checks, and Undergun actually leads out for $45. He is the same super active player, and he covers us. So we're here to mix things up, and we're playing 3-5 of clubs. We're going to get a little dicey here. So I think about it, and I intend to just make a move on later streets. I think he has a pretty vulnerable hand, and his range is pretty capped to 2 pair plus, I think, when he leads out here and donk leads. So I go ahead and make the call, and the big blind folds. So we're off to a turn, hoping to see a good turn card that we can bluff at. Turn comes the jack of hearts, so heart draw gets there, and I don't think he ever has a flush draw in this spot when he donk leads on the flop. So he checks to me. Here I'm going to be betting here all the time when this heart gets there. I bet $95, and he snap calls. Recreational player, when he snap calls, I think it's a mix of both not really being able to raise, but also being on the stronger side as well. So we're off to a river, and we're going to evaluate that. River comes in 8, so there's a 4-liner out there, and the heart draw gets there, and he checks. I have about $200-ish behind, and he covers me, so I'm definitely going to be planning on ripping it in here on this river card. Super connected, and I think 2 pair is going to have to make a pretty uncomfortable call if they are going to call, and they're in a pretty horrible spot, 2 pair. So I think about it, and this was really dumb. I mean, I had this plan all laid out to jam river, and I just kind of backed away from it for some reason. I just didn't think he had a fold button if he had 2 pair, especially even on this board, which like everything completed. It's hard to bluff recreational players, and especially with 0 equity, basically like we have here. So I just give up and check it back. He shows 5-7 of spades, and he did flop top 2. I don't know if he would have folded. I really don't know, considering just how this player was playing. But at the end of the day, super frustrated at myself for not pulling the trigger there and just kind of backing out of my plan.
Alright guys, I don't do this often, but mid-session update time, because I just need to get away from the table for a little bit. After that hand with 3-5, it's been like, I don't know, an orbit later, or like half an orbit later. I just had to get away from the table, talk to you guys, and just kind of de-tilt, but not really tilt, just get back in the right mindset. So the table I'm on is really good, and I think the move may have worked, but I couldn't have gone in between. Very frustrated that I was like, all right, I'm gonna call the 35 and just kind of bluff off on good runouts, or favorable bluffy runouts for me. But I just didn't even pull through with it. I'm very annoyed at myself, so I'm not tilted at the game. I'm just tilted at myself for not just at least pulling the trigger. If I lose the 200, I lose the 200, but I at least give myself a fighting chance. So very annoyed with that mistake. I don't know if he would have folded 2 pair, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I think on a heart river, I think I just jam it in there. But regardless, I mean, that's my fault for getting in the hand with the 3-5 suited. But the game's good. The player that I played against, he's running really hot and playing very loose. So, you know, I just got to play for value and not try to be too fancy. I'm really annoyed that I just tried to be fancy against a recreational player that I don't think is capable of folding 2 pair. I think that works a little bit better if I was against someone who is more of a regular here. Who knows? At the end of the day, just want to check in with you guys. We'll see. We'll get back in the right mindset, and we'll get back in the tables, and hopefully we'll play a little bit better, because I've been a little spewy right now. I'm down 150, which isn't actually that bad, only being down 150 after, you know, making some suspect plays. But anyways, we'll get back in and see what happens.
Hand following that, we have Jack 7 of hearts with about 250 in our stack. We're in the big blind, and it's a 4-way limped pot. So we get to see a free flop, and the flop comes Jack 10, 6, 2 diamonds out there. Action checks to a middle position player who bets $10 here with top pair. Everyone actually is going to be making the call. So we're still going 4 ways to a turn. Turn comes in 8. Interesting card, as we do improve to, once again, a pretty terrible gutter ball, I guess. But action checks to the middle position player once again, and he fires a bet. A ridiculous bet of $115. This is the same player from the last couple hands. And it folds all the way to me, and the only thing I think in my head is, what the hell is happening here? He's done this twice earlier with semi-bluffs, and I mean, $115, I just have top pair, terrible kicker, and a gutter ball, but really just a bluff catcher at this point. I don't really feel like risking and going broke on a limped pot here, so I make the fold, and he shows 8-9 of diamonds. Pretty good hand for him. Flush draw, pair, open-ended, literally everything. So nice hand by him, and we fold that one. Things haven't really been going our way here at this point, but we have 5-6 of hearts in early position. On the gun player limps here, just not really going to raise just yet. I don't know, just I was tilted, so I just limp it in. Player to my left raises things up to $15, and he gets 2 callers as both of us limpers make the call. We're off to a flop in middle position. Flop comes 6-6 king, 2 spades out there, so we do flop trips. Awesome board for us, and unfortunately, action checks all the way around, of course. We're off to a turn, which is the 4 of spades, so the spade draw completes. Pretty confident in my hand here when the on-the-gun player checks, so unlikely someone has a spade flush already. I bet on the bigger side, $45 to charge, you know, the ace of spades or the queen of spades, hands like that, to try to charge for their flush draws. The player to my left, pre-flop raiser, thinks and tanks for a little bit and makes the call. And we're off to a river. River is the 10 of spades, so we love it. Spades are getting there. I check, and he throws out a bet of $30. Tilt call, just annoying. Probably just a fold every single time, but a little bit tilted. I make the call for $30, and he shows ace 10 with the ace of spades. So we are losing. Hand after that, queen jack of spades under the gun. So here under the gun, going to raise things up to $15. $15 is just a little too small because on this table we get 3 callers. We're off to a flop 4 ways out of position. Flop comes 8-4-4, 2 spades out there with a queen high flush draw. Let's just bet here. I think a lot of hands just kind of brick out here, and I think I could also just take it down on the flop too. So I bet $35. A crazy middle position player who has a very loose image and just been, been playing very active. He jams his stack in for about $100 total. The button makes the call for $22 total. All right, and obviously I'm going nowhere with our queen high flush draw, so I make the call as well. So we're off 3 ways, all in. Let's try to improve. The middle position player who jammed the $100 has king deuce of spades, so we are basically dominated, and we don't have a whole lot of outs. Turn comes the jack of diamonds. Of course, we improve, and the river is a brick. It is a 7 of clubs, and we actually take it down after being dominated. So happy to win that one there. I kind of needed it because we are not playing well and not running that great. Next hand we'll go where we have 10-9 of clubs under the gun with about 500-ish in our stack. I open it up to $15. An active middle position player who has the big stack. He calls, obviously, and the button, who's a pretty solid reg, his name's Nick. When he watches the channel, so shout out to you. 3-bets us to $55, and actions onto me here. He has about $250 behind, and he doesn't actually 3-bet light ever, so feeling like I'm pretty dominated in this spot. I'm not really getting the right implied odds to call here with so little behind, but defending our under the gun opening range, we go ahead and make the call. And middle position player who I really wanted in because he has a huge stack, he unfortunately folds. So we're off to a flop, heads up, out of position. Flop comes queen 9-7, 2 spades in the club out there. So we flop middle pair, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw as well. So here I check, and he throws out a bet of $65. I think the queen could hit his range a lot, and he certainly has a bunch of overpairs in his range. But here, with a pretty decent hand on this flop for us, we stick around and make the call and peel one. We're off to a turn, which comes the queen of hearts. I check here, and he quickly makes the check back. So we're off to a river now. When he checks it back, his range is pretty capped to either ace king or jacks or maybe kings sometimes to pot control. I don't think he has aces too often here. I think even aces would still bet turn, but let's see a river and see what happens. River is a 4. The spades brick out, and I think here with middle or second pair, basically, I do have enough showdown equity, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think the possible holdings are really aces, kings, ace king, and jacks. And I think, given the fact that he's a pretty solid reg, given the fact that he's a solid reg and doesn't 3-bet too light, I'm going to lose the showdown versus jacks and kings, and I think if I jam his entire stack here, I think I put his one pair holdings in a pretty terrible spot. I don't think I'm going to fold aces if he does hold them, but I mean, obviously, and also ace king is going to be snap folding, but it's really just ace king, kings, or jacks at this point, just targeting those 3 specific hands. At the end of the day, I could check and go to showdown, or maybe even let ace king bluff at this. But let's just make the decision and turn our second pair into a bluff. We go ahead and elect to jam $170 total. He thinks and ends up folding. So we love to see that fold. Later he told us he had ace king, so had to jam it into him, and it was nice playing with you there. And after that, we have pocket aces, so we're picking up some pretty good hands here in the small blind. There are 4 limpers to us, and we always pick up the premium hands in the small blind. I raise it up to $25, and only the player in the cutoff who limped makes the call. He has shown to be a little spewy at times. So we're going to see what happens. Flop comes queen, queen, 7, 2 clubs out there, and here blocking the nut flush draw. Don't think I can get a whole lot of value from anything. So I check. Main reason I don't think I can get a whole lot of value, he has been interesting to say the least. Earlier in the session, he's been shown to jam pocket 6s on like a all over card flop. Like he overbet jammed on the turn like $300. Yeah, so we're gonna see what happens given seeing that action. So I check. He bets $40, hoping that he'll continue blasting off to me, and I make the call for $40. So here we're just going to check call mode all 3 streets because 1, he could have a queen and we could be beat, or 2, most likely he could just be blasting off. Turn comes a deuce, complete brick. Action goes check, check. The river is a 6. Once again, just gonna have to check. Don't get a whole lot of value from anything. So I check, and he unfortunately checks it back. We show our aces, and obviously we are good here. Next hand to go over, we have pocket deuces in early position. I go ahead and open limp with our deuces here. There are 3 limpers to a small blind player who raises things up to $14. Obviously, $14 a little too small as all 4 of us limpers make the call. We're off to a flop multi-way. Flop comes deuce, 3, 5, rainbow. Bottom set, let's do this thing. It checks to a button player, actually, who throws out a bet of $10. Big blind makes the call for $10, and here we are just simply not going to be calling this. So I go ahead and raise things up to $75. Gotta get value from maybe some sort of overpair, get value from a 4 that's open-ended. We're gonna see what happens. It actually ends up folding all the way to the big blind, who jams his whole stack in there for $254. Didn't expect that to happen. Didn't expect him to call $10 and then just rip his whole stack in. But obviously we snap call, not going anywhere with bottom set here, and we can certainly improve if we're behind. He shows ace 4 offsuit for the flopped straight in the wheel, and the run up does not improve us, so we lose that one unfortunately with our flopped set. And we go ahead and take a walk after that one, because that one was a little frustrating for us. After our walk, the first hand that we get dealt after that, we're in the big blind with pocket 5s, and there are 3 limpers to me, and I go ahead and check. So we're off to a flop 4 ways. Flop comes ace 5 4 2 spades, so we flop another set in back-to-back hands, which is crazy. We can't lose this one, right? So action checks to a cutoff who bets $15. Out of position here. I definitely should be raising this here out of position a majority of the time. But I want the player who is in middle position, because he's the one with the big stack. He covers us. So we want him in there. So we go ahead and call the $15. And as expected, he does make the call as well. So we're off to a turn 3 ways. Turn comes the 7 of diamonds. I don't want this action to check through here, and I also don't want to give out free cards, so we're actually going to be donk leading this turn lead out. I go ahead and bet $50. Let's try to build a pot now. Middle position player does something a little unexpected. He jams his whole stack for $2,000. What in the world? The cutoff tanks for a long time and ends up folding. What position did we find ourselves in this time? Well, we do have $50 committed. We are super strong at the top of our range, but I don't think this is ever a bluff. I just think that we're probably behind, but at the end of the day, I was a little frustrated. I have a significant amount behind. I think I had around 400-ish behind after the $50 bet too. We probably know that we're beat a ton of the time when he's jamming $2,000. But gotta hope he's on a combo draw, because we've seen him play a little weird before and take weird lines and be super aggro. At the best, I'm hoping for a combo draw, but we probably need the board to pair. I say screw it. Let's toss in a chip. We call. Let's gamble it up. We flopped 2 sets in a row back to back. How can we lose back to back hands like that? We're off to a river after I call. River pairs the board. It's another 7. Runner 7s. We have a boat and we're feeling really confident with our hand. He shows 8-6 offsuit for the turned nuts. And we suck out big time for a massive pot here. So we're lucky here and we suck out. We're kind of a fish, but we take down a monster pot. Last thing we'll go over, we have king 10 offsuit in the big blind, and we're playing 6-handed pretty late into the night so far. We have a cutoff player who opens things up to $13. Small blind makes the call, and king 10 off, 6-handed, we're going to make the call as well. We're off to a flop, which comes jack 9, 6, 2 diamonds out there. Checks to the cutoff player who c-bets $20. Small blind makes the call, and here with a gutter ball, let's just peel one for $20 and see what happens. We're off to a turn, which is the 4 of diamonds. Actually kind of improves us, but we're not really in the mood to play this hand straight up here or face up here. Don't want to check. I want to take the aggressive route, especially 6-handed. We're playing a little higher variance anyways. Let's try to win this one. Small blind checks. I throw out a bet of $45 repping the flush here. Obviously, we have king high, and the cutoff thinks about it and makes the call. Small blind gets out of the way and folds. So we're off to a river. I think we could just barrel a little bit on the bigger side of the river and see what happens. Maybe get them to fold. We're off to a river, which is a 5 of hearts. So basically a complete brick. We don't improve at all. And putting 1 pair hands into a fairly tough spot here, I go ahead and lead out for $100, looking like a lot of value. He tanks for a long time and ends up folding, which is nice. Probably folded hand like king jack, queen jack. I don't know. I don't know if ace jack ever folds there, but happy to take that one down with our bluff. And that's the last hand of the session.
All right, we are out of the session, just cashed out, and I can't say that I'm too proud of myself this one. Played bad, ran okay, or, you know, I'm not going to complain about how I ran because, well, we kind of sucked out big time with our sets. So we're not complaining about how good or bad it ran, but I'm definitely going to say that I played really, really bad today. There's a lot of spots that I went over and a lot of spots I didn't go over that I just really misplayed for sure. So that's how today went. Not really happy about it. I played for about 7 hours and somehow even found a win. It's kind of crazy, like you played bad, but I was able to still book a win. Last 2 sessions, today and the last session, not great. Not happy with the quality of play, so gonna have to figure it out. Just get into a better like mindset or mentality, because we don't want to keep punting off money, and I just got really lucky today. Only reason why I'm up is because of that stupid pocket 5s versus 8-6 hand. So lucky that we got there on the river and boated up. End result, I was in the game for 600 and out of the game for 928, so little profit of $300 after 7 hours. The results wise, not bad, but I mean, obviously play wise, I'm not happy about it. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. Met a lot of you guys again today, which is crazy. So I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the videos. I'm gonna keep pumping these out. And yeah, besides that, I'm gonna see you guys next time, because it's midnight, I'm gonna go home and we're probably gonna play tomorrow. We'll see. Peace.